I want to say good morning to everyone, and welcome to the Q&A with Kay. We're starting off the new year, so happy new year, everyone. And we're going to start out on a very, I'll say positive note, because we're going to talk about our 6-inch attic with our welcome guest, the famous, infamous, renowned, internationally, nationally known Dr. Bob Winters, was also affectionately known as Dr. Bob. And sometimes he's also known as Dr. Confidence. But with that being said, let me first start out by giving a little bit of background on you, Bob. He's a sports psychologist, and you're the resident sports psychologist at the David Ledbetter teaching headquarters at Champions Gate in Florida. You're a popular and very motivational speaker, and I've heard you speak. You've also offered several books that are focused on performance enhancement, confidence development. You're contributing consultant for Golf Channel, Golf Week, and Golf International magazine. Since we've known each other for a number of years now, I won't say how many, we'll just say a number. Okay. You have a unique, positive, and very simple approach to training, which I like because I'm always talking about simple, from actually beginner golfers to professional golfers. And you really teach us how to teach our peak performance. So as I said, we've known each other for several years. I have the utmost respect for you. So my friend, please welcome Dr. Bob to Q&A with Kay.
Hi, everyone. Happy 2021. And Kay, and for everybody that's tuning in, you know how special Kay is. Kay McMahon and Eloise and myself, we've known each other for many, many years. And it is absolutely one of I'm most grateful for our friendship, our professional alliance, that comes without saying, but the personal warmth and the great relationship I have with Kay and Eloise, it's just something that I feel very humbled to be on your program and with all of your students. And obviously, this is like double A. It's just, it doesn't get much better than that. And so, thanks for having me on. So we're going to talk a lot about a lot of different things here today. So I hope everybody has a lot of questions, because this is a whole new year. And I think I actually posted something on my social media and it said 2021. And I put ... And I said, what makes you think this year will be any different than in years past? Just not 2020, but 2019, 2018, all the way back maybe to 2010. What makes you think this year is going to be any different? Because everyone starts with New Year's resolutions, and then about 2.5 weeks, they're out the window, okay? We're back to the same old, same old. So the whole point about change is that if you realize that change is hard for you to actually get other people to change, and think about how tough it is for you to change. So one of the things that golf demands is that you adapt. You adapt to different situations, different courses, different grasses, different scenarios. And so one of the things this year that hopefully that I could help you with is just being willing to change your mind so that you can change your game in a very positive, productive, and effective manner. And it doesn't have to be, a whole whirlwind of change, but just changing things just a little bit. Because even if you're actually taking off in a boat and you want to actually go somewhere different you've never gone before, maybe you just go 2 to 3 degrees, north, or 2 to 3 degrees, east. Just, a little bit different, altering your course. You're probably going to end up someplace different and hopefully someplace exciting. But that's really what we're going to just talk about here. Just, being willing to change, being open to change, and let's change for the better. And I think that's a good place to start here, Kay.
Well, I totally agree with changing, and we all have to just accept that we're going to change something. So let me start off with just kind of a little different thing that I realize that most people really want to change, but they don't, is that it seems in golf that we all get a little fearful, anxious, a little nervous, whether we're a beginner or professional golfer. And it doesn't seem that happens in other sports. Like if I'm going to go play tennis, or I'm going to play badminton, or I'm going to play basketball, I don't get quite as anxious. Do you think it's because we're so fearful of what other people are going to think of us? Or do you think we become too attached to our score is really who we are? Does that make sense? I mean, everyone I know, that everyone that I deal with goes, I get so nervous on the first tee, whether it's ladies' day or whether I'm in a US Open.
Yeah, I mean, I think fear means a lot of different things to different people. I always love the acronym of fear, and it stands for forget everything and run. Okay, so you got to just let go of everything. But the whole point about, golf is that I think we have to understand right from the very start that golf is a unique animal. It is probably the toughest game to master because there's so many different variables, so many different components. And when you start talking about other sports, maybe team sports or badminton, tennis or whatever, you're talking about a very fast-paced, dynamic, reactive, pace. So I think some of that dynamic activity allows us to sort of run off some of that physical and cognitive anxiety. But in golf, the ball's just sitting there waiting for you. And many of us, have sort of this internal dialogue, this conversation going on with the golf ball. And we hear the golf ball talking to us as if, okay, who's it going to be today? Tiger Woods, or you're in the woods? And what are you going to bring here with me today? What are you going to do with me today? And they sort of have this little debate going on before they even hit their first shot. So there is a lot of fear on that first tee. And I think it's based on a lot of things. And if you don't get anything else out of this podcast, this webinar with me, I want you all to realize one thing. It isn't about anyone else on the golf course. It isn't. It's all about you. And you have a support team when you step up on that first tee or into any shot. And it's 3 people. And I don't know if I've said this before, Kay, but it's 3 people that are always with you. And I'll kind of put this like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts on my honor to do my best. It's based on not on your coach or your friends or your playing partners. It's about me, myself, and I. That's it. You have to be your own best coach, your own best cheerleader, your own best support squad out there, because no one is there to sort of help you or mask for you or bring you up, or actually pull you along. That's why golf is so psychologically and emotionally naked, because, you either hit the shot or you don't. And we have to live with the results. I love, the great, story about Ted Williams, the great baseball player, and Sam Snead. And I think they both worked, and Kay, you can actually, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they both were spokespeople for Sears, Roebuck and Company many, many years ago. And so they were doing sort of like a photo shoot, and they had, a question about which was the tougher sport. And Ted Williams spoke, very, quickly. And he said, well, it's hitting a 90-mile-per-hour fastball that's constantly moving. And you only have, fractions of a second to actually decide where, the ball's going and how you're going to hit it. And you only have maybe 2/5 of a second to actually hit, the ball, with your bat. And Sam looked at him and goes, no. He goes, it's hitting a golf shot, Ted. And Ted, who's been known to be very profane, says, what the hell are you talking about? There's no way. The ball just sits there. And Sam looked at him, shook his head, and he said, no, Ted. He goes, in golf, yeah, we've got to hit a golf ball. He goes, and we're swinging this club maybe 15 feet, maybe about 100 miles an hour. And we've got to hit it on a sweet spot, like about, the size of a number 6 penny nail. He goes, and other than that, he goes, we have to play our foul balls. And so he and Ted had this great big, discussion about that. So in golf, we play our foul balls. So there's always the fear of failure, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of not, playing up to our expectancy level. So there's a lot of different subset fears here, Kay, that really sort of make golf different than other sports.
I kind of want to go, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I like that about we have to play our foul balls, because you're absolutely right. We've all hit a couple of those out into the woods. But kind of good, speaking of woods and Tiger Woods, when he had that 10, I think, when he at the Masters. And I think one of the best things was his interview afterwards. And he said, I had it and I had a bad shot and I had a bad shot and I had a whole bunch more bad shots, or a whole bunch more shots. He said, but I realized that it was just me out there. So going back to the three people that are out there, as you said, he said it was just me. That's the only person that you had to rely on. So Tiger Woods experienced the same thing, and then he has to go ahead and do an interview about it on top of it.
Right. And I don't think he'd ever made, a 10, at Augusta before. Or maybe, I mean, when you talk about making a 10 on a par three, now that's a lot of shots. I've had a 10 before, I think one time in U.S. Open qualifying. And it just happens so fast. You're not really wanting it to happen, but a couple of swings here and the ball goes out of bounds and you're trying to recover. And then it just happens so fast. And then you walk away from the green and you go, gee, really what happened? So that's the whole point about this game, is that it's a very brutal, a very humbling game, but it's also a game that you can actually hit a shot. And that's the one shot, that you just love. That's that partial reinforcement we talk about in psychology. You actually get that good feel, that good feed. And that's the one that kind of brings you back. And that's the one that we live for. And that's the one shot that will get you going. But when we start talking about fear, I think the 99% of people who have problems with fear, they focus everything around results. That's my acronym for fear. They focus all of their energy around results. How am I doing? What do I look like? Am I winning? Will I make the cut? Will I qualify for this year's championship? Am I going to beat the people that I'm playing with? What do they think about me? So they're looking around at all the externals. Now, if you want to be a one percenter, which we're going to be talking about here today, is that we look at fear a different way. We focus on execution, the execution of the moment, what is, and then we accept the result. So the difference between we focus our energy around results, we focus on execution, what we can control, and then whatever happens, we can accept the result. We may not like it, but we have to accept it.
Well, that's very good. And I'm not trying to one up you on this, but when you said you had a 10, this is just to make everyone feel better. The U.S. amateur, even par through 14 holes, 15th hole, I took a 16. I can still remember everything, single shot. I hit a par card, would have been an 18, but I kept playing. But so we've all had some of those bad holes, but you do, and you have to go and own it. But I do have a couple hands up right now, but let me go to and introduce Debbie Austin, LPGA tour player who's won many times. She's a little laid up now. She just got done with surgery. She's got her hand up and would like to ask a question. And I think you belong to the same club down at Orange Tree in Orlando. Debbie, did you leave me? Yes, she left me.
Okay.
Okay, I think I had Cheryl, I think it's got her hand up. Yep, Cheryl Kruger's got a question for you. She had written in earlier, so that's the one, the cute one with the baseball cap on.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Bob. So how do you handle a situation? And I think I know the answer based on what you just said, but I'd like for you to talk about it more. So let's just say there's a situation where your opponent is attempting to play mental games with you. And they make a comment like, well, be careful on this hole. Yesterday when I was here, I hooked it left into the woods. So now and you're on the tee and you need to wipe that out of your head. You need to do, but it's really hard to wipe that out of your head when somebody just said that.
There was a show years ago called 30 Rock. Tina Fey produced it, and they had a character on there, Jenna, I think it was her name, and she was always talking about backdoor bragging. Okay, backdoor bragging, and I want to use this because that's really what people are doing. Backdoor bragging is saying humility prevents me from telling you how great I really am. Okay, so that's sort of backdoor bragging. All right, so backdoor mental jousting is really what players are doing with you. Okay. And when they say that, wow, this hole, it's really tough. I took a really big number on this yesterday. So they're trying to actually hit you with this syringe and get in your head, right? And so the biggest thing you have to realize is that if they're doing that, why are they doing that? Well, probably because they fear you. They, are intimidated by you. And they realize that, you're playing a superior game versus them. And the moment that someone says something like that to you, you have to get very, very good at this. Cheryl, yeah, okay. It goes in one ear and out the other. Okay, it really does. And the point of it is that you have to realize right then that you know what they're doing and that you have them. Oh, they think they're actually trying to manipulate you. But in essence, you're sitting here going, I know you're just trying to play games with me. I've got your number. And then you just allow it and you just take a deep breath and you dismiss it. Many years ago, the famous IU basketball coach, Bobby Knight, who was really very verbose and very profane and really be in your face. I remember he was sitting there and he was talking to Isaiah Thomas on the bench, and he was just chewing him out and just this and this and this and really just telling him what for. And Isaiah went out, on the floor, and there was Ted Kitchell and Randy Whitman for the IU Hoosiers. And Kitchell said, gosh, what'd he say to you? And all the time that Isaiah was going, okay, okay, oh, gotcha, okay. And he went back on the floor, and Kitchell said, Isaiah, what do you say to you? And Isaiah goes, I don't know, I didn't hear a damn word. Okay, so the point of it is you've got to get really good sometimes with people going, yeah, I hear you. Okay, good. Because that's the same way when people want to come up. And it isn't funny that everyone has the secret today. Everyone wants to infect you with their latest secret. Everyone can tell you what you're doing wrong and here's what you need to do. So you have to disregard the good intentions and even the bad intentions of others. You need to learn how to take out that needle and go, oh, well, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Boom. And then you're gone. That is a very subtle skill. All right, a very subtle skill. Now, here's another way that, people get distracted. When I was in Champions Tour School here, playing in Florida at the Disney Magnolia course, I was playing my first round with Gavin Levinson, a great player from South Africa, and Mark McNulty, who happened to be from Zimbabwe. And we're all on the first tee, and this is our first day of the first round. And Gavin, is a small guy, but he was known as Crazy Legs Levinson many years ago. But he was there on the first tee, and he was kind of jingling some coins in his pocket because he was a little bit nerved up. And so now they said, Robert Winters, from Orlando, Florida. I stepped up, and I heard this little ting, 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 ting. I heard this coin jingle. It sounded like Santa Claus around the corner. And finally, I kind of smiled. I backed off, and I looked at Gavin. I go, hey, Gavin, you wouldn't have change for $1, would you? And he looked at me and Mark and we all had a big laugh about that because I took control of the situation. Instead of getting irritated, instead of getting thrown off, I kind of regained my focus. So in answering your question, you have to be able to gain control and understand why people are trying to manipulate. It's because they're either scared of you, they don't have the physical skills to play with you, or it has worked for them before. Okay. And the moment you just kind of smile and just dismiss them, they realize they cannot get to you. Now you've taken advantage, you've taken control. This is what psychological control, this is what mind control is all about. Okay. It's like rubber and glue. It bounces off of me and it sticks on you. Okay.
That's very good. Another came in the chat, a question kind of along the same lines. When your playing partners say, wow, you're playing so well, hope you will continue, when they really are wishing you different sometimes. It's kind of along the same lines.
Oh yeah, that's the passive aggressive, notion. It really is. That's the passive aggressive in golf. It's sort of like, I've had, people, say to me or, say, especially, and I think, and I'm not going to say it's gender specific, but it's sort of like, Another woman looks at another, friend of hers, just could be friends. He goes, wow, you look great in that dress. It's just, I couldn't wear that dress. It wouldn't look good on me, but it looks good on you, and I'm sitting there going, well, that's a left-handed compliment. Just tell her she looks good. But that's the whole point. When people say, keep it going, what they're doing, they're now making you aware of your self-awareness. They want you to get conscious. They want you to start thinking, hey, I am playing good. I hope I can keep it going. And the point of it is, what you have to do then, again, it's the same thing. You look at them and you go, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we will. And that's the plan. And then, that's it. Because now you've acknowledged them, but you've also dismissed them. You've taken control of that situation. And you need to actually dive back into what you're doing, okay? And what you were doing, you have confirmation that what you were doing was working. So let's not, get, derailed by someone saying that. And they may be saying it, for all the positive intent, but there may be some malicious, duplicitous intent there as well. So we have to kind of look out for that.
Yep. That's great. We've all experienced that a little bit. I've got another question, and I'm going to call on Terry Boise because I know that she's going to have to bump off a little early. So, okay. Terry, we'll take yourself off mute if you would and ask your questions of Dr.
Hi,
Bob.
Dr. Bob. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Hi.
Hi. I was on the webinar last time when you spoke, and one of the things that I was curious about is you spoke at the time about the flow experience, and it's all about me, myself, and I on the golf course. And my question is, if I were to describe myself, I would describe myself on the golf course as a big fish in a little pond. So I play with a lot of folks. It's mostly casual golf, and I find often folks will say, I don't want to play with you because you're too good. I don't want to bring your game down. And so when I think about the flow experience, and my knowledge of the flow experience is probably Csikszentmihalyi's earliest model with anxiety, boredom, flow in the middle.
Sure.
So when I think about this, I think about what can I do on the golf course, because my job is to play the course and to try to beat the course. Mm-hmm. But I also don't want to alienate people who perhaps don't have a skill level that they're confident in. So my question is kind of that antithesis of what Cheryl talked about, is what can I do socially to support them? And I know that I can't take care of them, but it's like I want people to play with too.
Right, I get that, Carrie. Never apologize for your talent. Never. I mean, you have worked hard to develop your talent. You practice very hard, and you take it serious. But the biggest thing is you really want to tell your playing companions, hey, listen, I'm going to play my game. I'm going to play hard. I want to beat the golf course. And seriously, let's have fun. And don't worry about, playing at my level. You don't have to impress me. You're my friend. I'm already impressed. Okay, that's how you say it. And I think once you actually put it, and you almost humanize yourself, but now you kind of get back into your own little bubble of, playing, and you're really playing yourself against a standard of your own potential. What, is capable. How can I create greatness for me today? And I think we wish that for everyone else. And I think it's nice to be encouraging, but also you don't have to take on the umbrage of being someone's cheerleader, someone's support system. You don't have to. I mean, this is the game of golf. We're here, we're playing a game that's a parallel contest. If you and I are playing tennis, that's direct competition. I win by making you lose, and vice versa. In golf, it's a parallel competition, meaning I'm playing my ball from this spot and I'm playing 18 holes here. You're doing the same thing. And we're doing this together, but I'm not, trying to intimidate you or you hold me up. Let's just have some fun. So never apologize for your talent, but also at the same time, just make everybody, feel like, hey, we're going to have a great day and let's go see, what we can do today. Let's make this about creating greatness. And that's why I always tell people, I never tell people to be positive, whatever. I just say, let's go create your day. Let's go. Let's have a blast. And I hope that helps.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
I can kind of identify in the fact that I was once with a bunch of beginners and I topped the ball off the tee and they all felt better. Now I didn't do it intentionally, but they thought I did. But anyway, we've got a bunch of hands up, so I'm going to get to everybody today. I know Holly has to bump off in a little bit. So Holly G, our friend, great friend, you're up next.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Bob, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Hi, Holly. Happy New Year to you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
And Terry, I can totally relate to what you shared. And also I play with a lot of men who then complain when I get to, go up and play the forward tees. And then I just say to them, come on up and play with me. Let's see if you can beat me. Because we know it's a whole different game. But anyway, what I was just going to comment on, Dr. Bob, was what was remarkable about Tiger Woods' 10 at Augusta was the fact that he went on to birdie 5 of the last 6 holes, which he had never done in his career at Augusta. And, that ability to be able to, like you said, in the moment, I'm sure he wasn't very happy that he took a 10, especially when he was the defending champion. And this is his golf course, Augusta National. But then to be able to turn that around and finish how he did. A lot of us probably, even on a Sunday, if he was, in a pro, if he wasn't in contention, you think, he's probably going to fold his tent.
Here, let me just grab something here real quick. You bring up a great point here, Holly. Great players. I don't care if you're Tiger Woods or, Judy Jetson or whoever you are. Great players have the ability to park, to actually put behind them what was. What is most important is this. What is going on now? And most of us, after a 10, would take our trash with us. We'd be sitting there and our head would be in the trash going, I'm really bad. This is really bad. I've destroyed my round. I've damaged my round. But I want everyone to consider this, and hear me now and listen to me later, is that many times after a bogey, double bogey, triple bogey, or whatever, what that does, that's a stimulus check for us to say, I'm better than this. I can do better than this. And for Tiger to take that 10, it's a personal thing. It's an ego thing. It's a pride thing. And he says, I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove to myself, not to the world. I mean, he's already proven everything to the world. I'm going to prove to myself that I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this golf course apart. And I think that what he did, that day will be a great springboard for when April 8th comes around here in 2021. I think he can actually always go back on that and say, all right, the worst that could possibly ever happen to me has happened. All right, what am I going to do with it? He got himself back into this one-shot mindset, and he said, I'm going to move myself forward. And think about it. A lot of times, we get very fearful, and then we go out and we make a double bogey, and then we're stepping on the third tee and go, damn it, I'm better than this. And so now all the fear goes away, and now we're sort of filled with a different type of hormone. Now the testosterone comes in, now the serotonin comes in, and now we're going to actually play like we know we can play. And sometimes we have to get a little bit, for lack of a better word, pissed off to a level of festivity. That's a word I created, to a level of festivity that says, hey, let's go, come on. So in this game, Holly, sometimes you have to give yourself a pat on the back, and sometimes you got to give yourself a kick in the ass. And it's, and you got to know when to do that, all right? But that's the whole point about playing the game. So Tiger Woods, that's a great point that you bring up. But I think all of us can learn from that, is that we have to put the past behind us. And I have to always ask people, are you a golfer or a garbage collector? Because I know a lot of us take our garbage from shot to shot without parking it. So that's a pretty good, question.
Okay, let me, you're very good. I love the garbage can because that's bigger to have to carry. You should have one of those big cans with you. All right.
Just take one to the golf course.
Well, what is? Well, you always see people having their trash. I mean, you sit there and they're taking their trash, their heads down, they're walking down, they're not talking to anybody. And then you look at them and go, "Hey, Mary, how you doing?" "I'm not doing very damn well." So shut up, and so that's kind of fun. Yeah, exactly. So we've all been there. We know who they are, and sometimes they are us. Okay.
Okay, I've got another hand up here.
Hi, Dr. Bob.
Hi, Howard.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
In relation to what we were talking about earlier about somebody trying to get in your head.
Yes.
I was playing in a 3-day member guest. I was playing really well, and my opponent had his girlfriend walking up on the 7th hole. We get halfway up, and she walks up to me. She says, "Howard, you suck." And I said to her, "You should have never said that to me." Went out to birdie the next 3 holes. And she never said another word after that. But what I trained myself to do is when somebody says something like that, I put a little reverse psychology in my head and say, okay, I step on the gas, and now I'm going to play better.
Yeah,
and
that's
a
a stimulus. Yeah, that is, and so that was a catalyst for you to actually turn it around. Now if someone said something to me a long time ago, and I think something like that, and they said, "Wow, you suck," or something like that. And I hear a lot of kids, that's sort of the word over the last 20 years. "I suck, I suck." I mean, you hear it so much, you think you're talking to a whole room full of vacuum cleaner salesmen. "We suck." Okay, so you hear that a lot. But I always remember a great comedian who, and being a stand-up comedian is one of the toughest things in the world. I mean, you talk about getting up in front of people. And he, was after about his 4th or 5th year of stand-up. And he had, some really hecklers in the audience to go, "You suck." And he took the microphone. He goes, "No, I don't suck. In fact, I suck a lot less. I used to suck a lot more. You should have seen me 4 or 5 years ago. I really sucked back then, but I don't suck that much right now. I'm pretty good." He just turned that whole, suck phase. He just turned it around. I hate the word myself, but the point of it is, if you think, Howard, what you did, you use that as a catalyst to say, no, that's just your perception. And remember, everyone has an opinion, all right? They're like noses, they get out of joint. That's why we have plastic surgery and rhinoplasty. Okay, so you've got to be able to say, this is what I think about me. And this is what I want everybody here to understand. It isn't about what anybody else thinks about you. So you've got to give and just put away all this social evaluation, all of this judgment. You have to let that go, because the most important opinion is what you hold of yourself. All right, because it's your time, your ball, your energy. You play your game the way you want to do it. And Howard, good for you that you actually turned it around and made it a really positive day.
Good, that's great. I've got another one in the chat, another question for you. Can you speak, not me, you, again, about how to manage the voice that talks to me, not always nicely either. When I step up to hit the ball, very distracting, that voice. Would like to know what to say to the voice.
Okay.
That's me. It's nice to meet you, Dr. Bob. I'm Ann.
Hi,
yeah,
Ann.
I'm Ann.
How are you?
I'm good. First, let me ask you, I missed the first minute. Do you live in Charlottesville?
I used to live in Charlottesville. I love Charlottesville. I now live in Orlando, Florida.
Because I see all the Virginia stuff behind you. The University of Virginia.
I graduated from the University of Virginia. I was,
my favorite school. My very favorite school. I went to UConn, but UVA is my favorite school.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know how I got there. I must have had a big wish list, at Santa Claus for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm just blessed. I had, it's just a fantastic, Mr. Jefferson's University is a fantastic place. And the people there. And I got to tell you, just like, up in New England and Virginia, you just can't build a bad golf course there. The terrain is just perfect, for a lot of rolling hills, and it's beautiful. So, and
Valley.
Go ahead and give me your question again. Okay.
Okay. So I have this voice that's in my head, and you've really spoken around. I've learned a lot from what you've said, but feeling pretty good, and then I step up on the point to hit my ball, and the boy says, no, you're not that good, you don't know this, you messed up the last thing. And the voice just starts going, and part of me is like, be quiet, shut up, let me do my thing. And I'm not sure if it's meditating or if there's some way just to suppress that, that you have some advice about.
Well, I do have advice on that, and something that I've learned many, many years ago from playing professional golf, being around a lot of professional golfers. They have a lot of, these single voices in their head. And I've always been told that Dr. Jim Beam and Dr. Hiram Walker, if you started drinking a lot, you didn't just have one voice. You had a party of voices in your head. So I'm sorry, that was just kind of a bad joke there. But the point being is, when you are up over the ball, your mind and your internal dialogue needs to be vacant. If there's one thing you need to be telling yourself is to the target. What's my target? What's your intent? I'm created this whole notion about PI and VI. PI means purposeful intent. You want to get your work done behind the ball. You want to actually make a clear decision behind the ball. Because behind the ball, before you step across this trust line, this imaginary trust line to aim and align yourself to the ball to hit it to the target, you want to create a mindset that says, this is what I want to do. Nike made, billions of dollars on a slogan that had 3 words, just do it. So when people are undecided, they're unsure, they're not certain, they haven't created a plan. They're not decisive. Decisiveness is a correlate to confidence. And I'm the confidence doctor. So I'm going to do everything I can to create a confident, purposeful intention mindset before I step into the ball. So I'm going to rehearse from behind. I'm going to create a feeling from behind the ball. And then I'm going to commit not just to that feeling, but I'm going to commit to my club, to my target, to my feel. But I'm mostly committing to the idea of I'm committed. I've got a green light, here we go. And I'm going to do one thing, and I'm going to do one thing well. Now, I grew up in the age of Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all right? And their motto was, we do one thing, and we do one thing well. We fry chicken. So that's the one thing you want to have. If you step into the golf ball, you want to have one focus, maybe one swing key, one cue, whatever it is. But that one thing has to be directed to one area, and that is to the target. It's always to the target. So, and what you want to do when you start getting those voices inside your head, don't be saying, don't shut up, shut up, shut up. Just take a look at your target. And can you see me right here on the screen?
Yes.
Can you see me? How many fingers?
I can see you, yeah.
How many
4.
fingers? 4.
4.
Okay, now I'm going to give you a task, okay? And everybody else can join in, all right? So everybody, I'm going to give you 4 numbers. All right, we'll see how good your arithmetic is on this Friday morning, okay? I'm going to give you 4 numbers, and you give me the total, but just total it in your head. Don't say it out loud. Are you ready? Here we go.
Ready? Yep.
What was the total?
10.
Was she right?
Yes.
Everybody got that? We got. Now, that's in the moment. You are in this one moment right here. You are using your eyes to give you information. When you actually lock on an external stimulus, when you're looking at your target and you're saying, this is where I want the ball to go, there's no way that you can actually start feeling nervous or having a lot of stuff going on. I want to do this again with you, Ann, but I don't want you to be thinking the number 15, all right? So, Ann, did you hear the number I said not to think about?
Of course.
What was
15.
it? Okay,
15.
I want you to think about that. All right, so here we go. I'm going to give you 4 more. Here we go. So I don't want you to think about 15. You ready? So here we go. Stay right here. We're not thinking about 15. You ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Total?
6 and 4 is 10. But I had to concentrate.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's what focus is. That's what centering is on your target. So when you are actually just totally absorbed in your target, totally absorbed in your field, swinging that field to the target, your mind's not going to get, racing around. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
So, and the whole point of it is, and then people say, well, damn, this little voice inside my head is out, it's talking, it's just chattering it up. All right. How do I get rid of it? Okay. Well, we're actually paying attention to it. Okay. Because it's sitting here yapping it. And I tell a lot of people, go, what about this voice? This voice over here. It's like the angel and the devil, right? This one has to out-talk this one. So this one is just vying for your attention. You've got to turn your attention, go, and no, we're going to the target. We're going to the target. And if your noise gets to be so bad, just back off, reset, and just go, you know what? Here we go. To my target. I'm swinging this club this way to my target. It's always to the target. Okay, you understand what I'm saying?
I do. Always, yeah.
Even on the putting green, it's into the hole. Everybody says, okay, I just get it to the hole. And a lot of times we get the ball to the hole, but that's up around the hole. I don't want it up around the hole. I want my ball rolling into the hole. Our whole world's made up of 3 words, statements, okay? Just do it. Coke is it. I love you. Go to hell. All right, good or bad, all right? But our whole world is made on 3 things, all right? And that's what, I've always said to my students, to the target. What's your target? From behind the ball, say, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. Kay and I were talking about the KISS philosophy. She loves KISS, I love KISS. KISS doesn't mean keep it simple, stupid. We don't work with stupid people. Golfers are geniuses. We talk about keeping it simple and specific. Simple thought, specific target, okay? And we do that 1 shot at a time. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
More than
that.
welcome.
Okay, now, Dr. Bob, I think that your philosophy is a little bit better than mine, but when I had some LPGA players that were chatty Cathys all the time and were loud and obnoxious, so I would take a piece of paper, sometimes even a napkin, and I would draw this little remote thing on here, and I had my mute button very large. So to keep them quiet and the voice in my head, I just would press my little napkin or my piece of paper, my scorecard, and they would mute them, and they knew exactly what I was talking about. I think your technique is probably better. But I've got George with a hand up, and then I've got some other people in the chat, so we've got a lot more questions to go. So,
good.
Okay,
Great.
my friend, instructor, your question.
Hey, Dr. Bob. My name is George. I'm here in Orlando also, and I'm a golf teacher. And one of the things I would love to get your thoughts on is nutrition. I notice that even when I'm teaching for a few hours a day, or my students are playing for 9 holes or 18, that they somehow are looking like they're getting tired or fatigued or something. And I kind of watch their nutrition habits, and I see they might have not had a water for like an hour or something, or they don't snack. I was playing in a tournament the other day, and the person was like, "I'm so hungry, I just can't. I got to get to the pro shop or whatever." And I was just wondering if we can get your thoughts on nutrition as a whole and how it can affect the game.
George is great, and hopefully I'll have a chance to meet you and run into you here in Orlando. It's a small world out here. The point being is that nutrition is so important because you have a hormonal balance. And when your body's out of balance, physiologically, neurologically, you're not going to play very well. You're going to bonk out. So what happens a lot of times, after about the 12th, 13th hole, if a person hasn't eaten anything, they start to have a low blood sugar. They start to make unforced errors. They start to think mentally confused, and they become very indecisive. So my whole thing about nutrition, if you're going to play 18 holes, I don't care if it's good, bad, cold weather, hot weather, you need to be eating something, drinking something every 2 to 3 holes. Whether that's banana, apples, whether it's sort of trail mix. I've had, players, mix like cashews, pecans, M&M peanuts, get a little bit of a chocolate in there. You want to make it something that you're going to eat, George. I mean, that's the whole point, is you got to get them to eat. And a lot of, especially, junior golfers, they don't want to eat anything. I'll get something, at the turn. No. Adrenaline is only going to take you so far in this game. You need to be eating something. And I always like bananas because, bananas have a lot of potassium, a lot of nutrients. They have a little bit of tryptophan, in it that actually sort of kind of calms you down a little bit if you get to be a little bit hyper. And so I think, those things right there, plus a banana, if you're putting your, in your bag and you're carrying it, you eat it, and actually then you can actually just toss it away, and you don't have that weight in your golf bag. It's already, in the body, being used. So nutrition is so important. Sleep is really important. I think, these two things are just as important as our physical and mental, input, on the golf course. Because if you don't sleep and you're burning the candle at both ends, because sleep is what we do. It's how we re-energize the brain. It's how the brain cleanses itself. And we have to have the proper nutrition to actually, keep our body working at a, optimum functioning. So, water is good, but you have to get something with some electrolytes. You have to get, some type of Nike or Gatorade, some type of supplement there. But also, you've got to be eating something every third hole. So that's really what I say to my people. It isn't like just grabbing a great big sandwich or a hot dog or whatever. And a lot of people ask me, they go, okay, what about caffeine? Well, certain people are really, sort of caffeine, junkies. I mean, they deal with caffeine, but their bodies have actually stabilized to a balance level is that, caffeine is okay. If they don't have caffeine, they start to have, bulking up and caffeine withdrawals. So some people who have actually had a Coke, drink a couple of Cokes in the morning, they go, well, I'm playing golf this morning. I don't want to feel jittery and stuff. Well, do you normally feel jittery? I mean, so you have to sort of, kind of assess how you feel. And then after a good round, say to yourself, what did I do today? And then you have to really sort of kind of just keep like a little log and go, I actually ate something every third, fourth hole. I ate this. And if you had a really good round, you really want to be able to, to complement that and replicate, exactly what you did in that round. But nutrition, George, is extremely important. That's just a great question.
Thank you.
Okay. Hope I answered your question there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great. And I've got another question from another good friend, Lynn Cotter. She's going to ask you if she can unmute herself on focusing through an entire 18 holes of competition. Lynn, are you on? Are you unmuted?
Yes.
I see.
Here.
Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
How are you, Dr. Winters?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
So excited that you're here because I think the mental game is really key in the golf game, especially once you start competing and actually not even just competing. So my question is, I had a few matches last year, and I noticed that I had a really important match, and I had a friend that actually joined us. There were 3 of us in this match, just 1v1. And I did really well because during the holes or during the shots, between the shots, I was able to sort of chat informally with this other person. Where I kind of get caught up is when I'm actually just 1v1 against another person and I have nobody else to kind of talk to. And so how do you kind of endure through like a whole 18 rounds of golf and not be so in your head? You know what I mean? Like I had that other person to kind of chat with and not think about my golf shots.
Sure. So what happens, for a lot of people, I think, through the years, we have learned we want to be super focused. We want to be, at this high optimum energy level. So when we start a round, we feel like we have to sort of turn on this light switch. And we're focusing up here. And we feel we have to be like this way, for 4, 5, 6 hours. Well, I mean, that would drive you nuts and you would actually use a lot of energy. For me, I like, this metaphor or analogy, however you want to use it. It's a light switch. It's a dimmer switch. So when you actually come up to a shot, all right, you have this one shot phase coming up. So when you're coming up to a shot, you now are turning up the illuminance, you're turning up the brightness, you're turning up the energy to actually get involved in this shot. It might be for 25, 30 seconds max, okay? You hit that shot, you accept it, you go through your post-shot, analysis, your routine, whatever, and then now you come down a little bit. It isn't that you turn the light off. It's just that we actually reduce it a little bit. So now you can kind of engage. If you don't have a person that wants to talk with you, then have a great conversation with yourself. Look around, smell the flowers, enjoy yourself. Say, wow, what a great life I'm living. I'm enjoying this day. Enjoy the little things, right? And so now when you come back up to another shot, you turn back up that focus. So really, during a round of golf, your energy focus is like this. It's just nice, what we call sonorous waves, all right? You're just doing, here we go. And that's how you conserve your energy over a round of golf. But you actually, bring it up to a nice high point of illuminance. So you learn how to focus and really bring that intensity, that brilliance into that moment. And at the same time, saving energy. Now, for those, what we call those areas of refraction right here, refractory period right here, sort of the downtime between shots, you can let your mind go wherever you want it to go. I mean, a lot of people think I'm counting the number of steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, or I'm counting the number of leaves, or I'm looking at the clouds. But the point of it is, you don't have to make it that hard, that much work. But what you have to have is a trigger, okay, something that actually gets you back in here for this shot. And that's what we call a cognitive behavioral intervention. And a lot of times, people will put, their grip back on, or they'll actually slap, their side, or they'll readjust their cap. But it's a cognitive behavioral signal that, okay, I'm coming in, I'm getting ready for this shot. So it's just like this, like that, all day long. And if you do that, Lynn, what you'll find is that you can enjoy your day, you'll have more energy, and you'll probably, just say, wow, my scores have really gotten a lot better because now I have good time management, good energy management, good focus management, and it just makes the game enjoyable. Listen, we all get into this game, to actually play. Now, whether we play competitively or we play recreationally, the big word here is play. And I've always said, perform like a youth. Go out there with this childlike innocence and let's go play. But if you do that, you'll save some energy, and your rounds of golf, even if you're playing against someone who doesn't want to talk, will be a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Because I find that, I kind of get unfocused sort of towards the end, and it's hard to maintain that high sort of focus.
Well, like I was telling George, you also want to be eating something really coming down the stretch, because it's been a long day out there. And a lot of times, because if you are undernourished, you are a little bit fatigued, but you want to bring it home, willpower won't do it by itself. You need to actually get like a little boost of energy, whether it's a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of pecans or trail mix or whatever, an energy bar or something to actually help you, maintain that good energy focus balance. So, try that. I think it will really help.
I think I can also go with that too, is that people say I have to concentrate for 4 hours or 4.5 hours, whatever it is. But in reality, it only takes a half an hour to play a round of golf. And that's what you're talking about, is just focus during those times that you have to. I do the same thing that you do. It's kind of like this, but I talk about it as walking into the room, turning the light switch off, and then walking out and turning it off. And then I can talk to Susie Q about making brownies or lemon bars or something. But I think, who else? I've got a couple other questions. Shannon, I think you're on here someplace.
I was. Hi, Dr. Bob. Hi, KK.
Hi.
I was, but I lowered my hand because, Dr. Bob, you did kind of touch on this a little bit. A few years ago, you spoke to our Ladies Association, and it was kind of getting yourself back into focus, like when there's slow play or there's chatter going on or all this other stuff. And you've been touching on that all this morning. So you had to set up or create, like you said, a cognitive or a physical visual cue that snaps your brain back in. So that space between when we're disregarding the chatter and to the target, there's something in there that really helps you physically get the mental switch back on.
Are you asking me, or are you telling me?
I'm asking if you want to expound on it a little bit more. I mean, I get it. It was, but you did mention like you put on your glove or you touch your club head cover, but I don't know. It's kind of nice if you want to explain to other people how to just establish something like that.
Thanks, Shannon. I'll tell you what, and I'd be glad to speak, to the Ladies Association this year, because I've always loved, because Orange Tree Women's Association, the Ladies Association is just fantastic, as is all the things there at Orange Tree. And just glad to be a worthy, humble member. And here's the point, is that, when we're playing, I don't care really what, any of you do, but you have to ask yourself, am I really ready? Am I really ready to perform? And Shannon, I'm going to go off here just a little bit. Many of us remember the show Dancing with the Stars. Does everybody remember that show? Not if you do. Dancing with the Stars. And they always had a whole lot of different people on there, from football players to basketball to actors. But they had one person here, I remember a few years ago. It was Ty Murray. You don't know who Ty Murray was. He was the 7-time national rodeo cowboy champion, 9-time professional bull rider. And he was on there, and he was asked about his experience of Dancing with the Stars. And he said, being on that show was a lot like bull riding. He goes, you're not always ready. It just becomes your turn. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just so well put. We're not always ready, but it becomes our turn. So how do we know that we're really ever ready for performance? And the point of it is, the most important thing for all of you is that when you step into the golf ball, are you absolutely, positively, FedEx guaranteed that your mind and body and willpower is doing everything it can to ensure that your ball is going to go to the target? That's really the whole point about this game. When you step into the ball, do you know what you're supposed to know? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? This is all about compliance. Everybody wants to talk about confidence, but it's mostly about adherence to your routine and complying to this commitment. This is what I'm going to do. This is what purposeful intention is. Are you going to do this? Now, to get yourself started, that's why we talk about making this great decision behind the ball. But in order to kickstart yourself, what Shannon was mentioning is that I said to folks, listen, whether you jostle your hat or you put your glove back on or you actually slap your hands together, this is a signal. You're waking yourself up and say, okay, here's what I have. What's going on now? Because if you want to win in this game, we've got to use that old Holt statement, WIN. What's important now? What am I going to do now? How can I get myself into this shot now? So whatever trigger mechanism you use, it's to do one thing and to serve this purpose, is to get you, when you step into the ball, that you know that you're going to hit this ball and you're going to hit it to your target. So that's really what I'm talking about. It doesn't really matter what it is, but each one of you has to kind of figure it out for yourself. But there's a whole lot of different things that we do. I usually have people who wear sort of like this little rubber band. And, so say maybe, they've got all this other stuff, all this chatter going on. I'll have them just quietly snap that little rubber band. And that will actually sort of bring them back into, okay, all right, here we go, Shannon. This is what I need to be doing. And then you can actually go into your pre-shot behavior. You can actually go into your one-shot mindset, and you can do that. So that's exactly really what I think you should be doing. And hopefully that answers Shannon's question.
It does, thank you. And I'm just going to give Kay a little plug here. I think most of the people on this webinar either are familiar with Golf 8.5 or are going to become familiar with Golf 8.5. But that was the biggest thing for me that combined exactly what you were saying to my golf game. The Golf 8.5 steps, there's no chatter in your head. You know what you're supposed to do. You've got, you're there, you walk up to the ball, you do what you have to do. And that for me was brilliant. I mean, I just love that. So if you haven't yet, I'll give her a plug. Try it.
Good for you. Awesome.
Shannon, you're terrific. So that's great. And our time is winding down very rapidly. There's still a few more questions out there, but what I'd like to do is tell us how people, we're going to have you back on because you're always a wealth of information and we can just never get enough of you. But tell people how they can get a hold of you, your website, etc. before we finish up today.
Okay, people can get a hold of me via a lot of different ways. You can go into a couple of different websites, drbobwinters.com, drbobwinters.com. That's one. I've got an info site, a contact site there. And then the other, website is theconfidencedoctor.com. And just all the words together, there's no periods after theconfidencedoctor.com. Those of you who would like to email me directly. You can reach me at drbob, Dr. Bob, at drbobwinters.com. I'm not narcissistic. I just try to keep it simple. It's Dr. Bob at drbobwinters.com. And if you can't find me at those places, then go to ledbetter.com. And I've been with David Ledbetter and his staff for now 21 years. So you can find me, and I will tell all of you this, is that if you reach out to me, I will get back to you. I know that a couple of you have reached out to me. I know that Candy has, and it's great to see you here this morning, Candy. And it's nice. So I will get back to you, pronto, because one of the things I really, really admire is that when I call someone and they're not there, and I get a return call quickly, that means something. I mean, don't you just hate to be put off for 3, 4, 5 days when you really just have a question? So for me, I'm really big about that. If there's one thing I'm really big on, it's getting back, to someone who has an inquiry. So that's, if you want to get, hold of Dr. Bob, get a hold of me, and I'll be glad to chat with you. And it doesn't matter how big, how small, I'll be there for you.
Dr. Bob, you are terrific. And I want to thank my friend Shannon for the plug for Golf 8.5. And most of you have experienced Golf 8.5. So between Dr. Bob and myself, we're going to change the world, aren't we? We're going to have confidence. Yes. 8.5. Yeah. And it doesn't that add up to 15? No, I'm kidding.
Okay, that's good. Hey, you were still thinking about it. Cut that.
Anyways, we will have you back on, Dr. Bob. I'm sure the people will be in touch. Thank everyone for being on the call today. Happy New Year. Be safe. And I will remember Q&As happen every Friday morning at 9 a.m. So thank you. Everybody clap for Dr. Bob.
Happy 2021.